Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning back in. You're in the booth with Bradley and Chris. We got some great content for you today. Let's get to it. What's up, Chris?
Hey man, how's it going?
Going good. Just enjoying my weekend. How about you?
Doing the same.
Yeah. By the way, sorry we're a day late. Stuff happened. We're trying to record when we can. Also, some of my equipment broke today um, as we were trying to get ready for it. So if my quality, voice quality, sound quality is not as good, that's why. It'll be fixed next week. It just literally broke when we were trying to fire up to get going. So I don't have any backups, but we'll get that fixed. Um, so hey, you sporting a Cubs hat today? I see.
Yeah.
You like the
Uh,
Cubs, or you just got a hat?
they're doing all right this year. They
Yeah.
got some players I like on their team.
Oh, do that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll see. We'll see what they do. The big question on that team is Stroman. I didn't realize he was already in the kind of mid-year Cy Young race. I saw a
Yeah,
post the other
man.
day, and he's in that talk right now. I knew he was pitching good.
Yeah, he has like 14 quality starts so far, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah,
I think
that is good.
I believe he's leading the league. If not, he's tie.
Yeah, I wonder who's going to get him. With all that dilemma they got going on between him and the Cubs. I wonder if they end up being sellers, will they try to get something out of him, or just kind of let him go into free agency?
That's a good question. I guess it all depends where they at between here and August 30th.
Yeah,
Then they're gonna make the move.
yeah,
But then again, I never understood why is teams like to rent, for lack of better terms, player for 2 months that are going into the market right after.
yeah. It's tricky, but if you can win, like if that's the missing piece, and it gets you a World Series, and you had to give up some, but not like a terrible amount.
Right, but the thing is that base was not guaranteed though. It's not over until it's over. So they can
Yeah.
make it to the World Series and then lose.
Well, no,
You
I'm
see?
saying if you think that piece will win you a World Series, like if you're selling out to win it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and the Cubs, they're losing him at the end of the year anyways or whatever. So if they can trade him for one decent prospect, it's a win for the Cubs. Like you don't have
That
to
is
trade him
true.
for a lot because they know they're not signing. They know they're not signing him back. So they can either trade
And
him for like one piece, or they can just let him finish, and then he just goes off into free agency, and nothing ever happens. That's all they got out of it was nothing.
you know, which ever since this happened, this trade happened, it kind of is stuck on the back of my mind. So you remember when Chapman used to play for the Cubs?
No, I remember. I didn't know he stopped at the Cubs. I remember him with the Reds when he came in.
Yeah, he was with the Cubs when they went to the World Series between them and Cleveland.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
I'm listening.
so right after, I believe they trade for the Yankees trade him, right? And they got some prospects for him.
You talking about the Cubs traded him to the Yankees for some prospects.
Yeah, or it might have
Okay,
been vice versa. I can't quite remember. I might have to look that up. But it was
okay.
vice versa. The thing is that so the Yankees got prospects, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's when the Yankees got Gleyber Torres, if I'm not
Maybe
mistaken.
possibly,
Might have to
but
look that
anyways,
up real quick. But the thing is that Chapman went from the Yankees to the Cubs, right back to the Yankees.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess he went from the Yankees to the Cubs to the Yankees, right?
Right. So that
Um,
my thing
yes,
is,
it's kind of a
it could
weird
happen.
trade. Yeah,
Right. So it could happen, so
yeah,
they could go, yeah. So the New York traded Chapman to the Cubs in exchange for, yeah, Gleyber Torres, Billy McKinney, and Adam Warren, and reach Rashad Crawford. to the Cubs.
Yeah. The Yankees
then
come out
once-
on the good end of that, though, because they got prospects,
Right.
and then he went
And
right
then-
back.
Yeah. So then he
Dude.
hit free agency in 2016, and then he signed right back with the Yankees.
Gotcha.
So see, that right there kind of got stuck on the back of my mind. So I'm like, every time a player's about to hit free agency that year, and they're talking about trading him, I'm like, the same thing could happen to that same team.
Yeah.
They can just
Yeah.
lose prospect, basically to rent the player for 2 months.
Well, it's funny you say that. So that with him in particular, that is that could happen because Stroman wants to be in Chicago. So he could trade away and then be gone for a little while and then get back with Chicago. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because he wants to be there.
So it's
He
pretty
would
much
probably
like
come back.
it's a win-win for the team.
Yeah. Interesting. We'll keep track of that. But getting into some of the topics we're going to talk about today, I think we're going to do a little just All-Star recap, All-Star Week. The National League finally won one in 9 years, which I don't know how they haven't won one in 9 years because they have a lot of good ball players. Talk a little bit about the Home Run Derby, and then we're going to kind of get into what to expect in the last half of the season. If we think there maybe are teams that will lose their magic, or maybe some teams that find some magic, who knows? But that's kind of the stuff we're going to talk about today. So let's jump right into the All-Star break. So what did Chris, just an overall feeling? How do you think the All-Star break went? Like not one particular competition, but just it in general.
In general?
Yeah, in general. Like a good All-Star break, bad All-Star break. Do you think All-Star break, like MLB, should do more to make it better? Like there's a lot still like left to be desired, or do you think they're doing really good with it?
No, they're not doing really good with it.
Yeah, so you think it's hot garbage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, I love baseball, I'm sure if you go to the game itself, to the All-Star game itself, it's fun. It's great. You're going to have a great experience.
Yeah.
But for the viewer, which is what? The majority of the people?
90%. I mean, there's only so many people that can go to the game.
Right. So the majority of the people they're not enjoying and watching it.
Yeah.
So there's something that they have to do, and they're not doing it. What it is, I don't know, but they're not keeping. It's just the game is not the same anymore, as far as the All-Star itself.
Yeah, I tune out just for the uniforms. They're garbage. I wish they wore like back in the day. It wasn't. I'm not even saying back in the day. Like what I mean is like 10 years ago, is they would wear their own, like their team's jersey.
Yeah.
I wish they brought that back. I'll tell you this though. What's that?
No, I was gonna say. Although I did like the ones that they played in Dodgers, where they half and half.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty neat. That was pretty cool.
Some of them are cool, yeah, but I mean, I would prefer them to wear like their own. I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I think it's, they're there representing their teams, and they're an all-star for their team. But I guess it's more of like a MLB thing now, and that's why they do. It's more of an NLAL thing, but I mean, if they're going to make that rule like you talked about last episode about each team has to have somebody there, then they should make them wear their own uniforms.
I guess they are representing, but they're
representing more. They're representing their fan base. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of fans that take pride in what we sent. We sent 3 All-Stars.
There were more than that.
Well, with Atlanta, you had like 5 or 6. But I'm saying any fan base.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're excited. My team sent 2 or 3 All-Stars. We're excited about that. So.
Yeah, I noticed how they put the logo on their pants.
Yeah, they did do that on the left hip. Yeah.
Right. Which, if you're really weren't looking at the whole uniform overall, you probably would have missed it. Yeah.
I guess one thing they could do is they could keep like the jerseys and pants, but maybe let them wear like the hat.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like something's got to be individualistic to the team.
Right.
Like, I'm not talking about just a team logo.
Right. So they know who they're representing.
Right. So if they want to do like the unis, fine, like the jersey pants, but at least let them wear like a team, whatever team they play for, is hat and bat and helmet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It seems like they're really blend with it. I don't know who they're hiring for their signing, whoever's designing the shirts or uniform, but I feel like they're they're kind of walking backwards with it. Same thing
Yeah.
with like the WBC uniforms. There were a lot
Yeah.
of them that were just
Garbage.
plain. Yeah, they
And
suck.
actually, I was going to ask you this a few episodes ago. It was a question that I was thinking of, and I was like, I got to jot this down. It's got to be on the show, and never come around to it. But we'll just do a short sidebar on this. Do you think the City Connect uniforms are losing their traction? Because don't get me wrong, for my personal belief is when they first came out, like I was all about them. Like I liked them. Like I like San Francisco's. Who else was some of the first ones? San Diego wasn't. Theirs is different. But anyway, some of those first ones that came out, I was like, man, these things are right. And now like these ones they put out for Baltimore and Pittsburgh, like and even Atlanta, they're just not it for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like they've lost. Nike has like lost that little creative touch. Like they're not. I don't know. It's just not working for me anymore.
You think they should put like 3 or 4 different type of designs and then have a fan base that'll vote for which is the best looking one? Because at the end of the day, that's the one that is going to sell the most.
Yeah, they could do that. So I guess the point with the City Connect is to draw homage like back to the city and what the city is known for. And like Atlanta, they did the they did basically what era's uniform is that with the A? That was when like Hank Aaron was playing and all, right? And they basically just did like a redesign of those old uniforms. And like so Atlanta, we're from Georgia, but Atlanta has much more to offer. Like they have a big music scene there. They have a big food scene. They have a lot of scenes that are there that they could have built those jerseys around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because they kind of look like a throwback somewhat.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's a throwback jersey. They're already wearing very similar jerseys, and it's kind of just like a throwback to those, like a redesigned throwback jersey.
Right. Basically,
like Pittsburgh,
no thought into it.
Yeah. I mean, no like uniqueness.
Right.
Like Atlanta has a lot more to offer than Bay. I would have liked to see them gather something else about Atlanta, like off of baseball. For example, the Padres, like the reason why those uniforms are the way they are is because they're so close to Mexico. And like, it's kind of like I don't want to say Tex-Mex, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, It's like a homage to like the Mexican culture that's in San Diego.
Right.
So that's why they didn't do their old jersey. You know what I mean? They didn't throw back to like a redesign of their old jerseys.
Right. And which is not bad. It's definitely unique.
Right. So that's what I would have liked to see. Like Pittsburgh is obviously known for steel.
Yep.
But I don't even know what they're throwing back to in theirs. And Baltimore is just, I mean, they're like the blandest jerseys ever. I mean, they're black with white Baltimore in a really boring font in a fucking B.
Which the uniform is already black itself.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I like Colorado's. Colorado's is a throwback to the mountains and shit. That's in Colorado. It's cool.
That's a nice one.
Washington, Cincinnati's they're all right. Cincinnati. I like their hats, but like, I don't know. What is it throwing back to? Like, what is unique? What does that uniform say about that city that's unique to that city? Could you tell me by just looking at it?
Cincinnati?
Yeah. Like what is that? What do those uniforms portray something about that city that's unique to that city and that's like well known just by looking at the uniforms?
I can't really tell you on the top of my head.
You can't.
No.
So that's my point is like the City Connect uniforms aren't doing the task anymore. Like if you go to San Francisco, you look at San Francisco, like they got the Golden Gate Bridge. That's
Yeah,
really well known.
there
The
has to be a meaning
Padres,
behind it.
right? The Padres, they have that. They're close to the border. They have that kind of mixed culture. You can tell from the uniform. You look at Colorado, they have all the mountains and shit. You can tell that, you go to Colorado for the mountains and shit.
Yeah.
What's another one? Arizona, same way. They got kind of like that Arizona culture.
Yeah, there has to be a little something in it.
Yeah, and so they're not doing that anymore. To me,
which I don't know. I think they need to get more of a. Listen, if it's a City Connect shirt, they need to involve more of the city of it in it, and take a poll, ask the city, what do you like better? What do you think it represent you more? This is sign, or this is sign, and then let them vote.
Or what jersey? What do you want to tell everyone else about Atlanta or whatever city they're in that they don't already know? Like that represents.
Like this is us.
Right. Now, let me say that in the fact that you have to leave all the social aspects out of it, so you can't get into like society problems and all the other things. You know what I'm saying? You got to kind of.
No, it's more about the culture than anything else.
Right. It's got to be like what's unique to the city. What was the city built on, or something like that.
Right.
So it's kind of where I stand with the City Connects. I don't even like looking at them anymore though, because they're so bland. So I mean, I was excited for them for a while, but I would watch teams at Orem and stuff, and I mean they're just turning them out, and they're not doing that. They're not doing. I don't know. I don't like them anymore. So, anyways, let's get into the All-Star stuff. I agree with you. I believe All-Star break with the MLB is a big flop. Smoltzy said something cool. He said instead of doing an All-Star game, he would like to see, and he thinks that it would like bring it would bring like players. It would like breathe life back into the players and all the fans. But he would like to see a Team USA like All-Star team versus all other countries' All-Stars. Yeah. That's what he said. He was like, I don't disagree with him. I think it would probably be all right. But it would be, you would have Team USA or like an American team of All-Stars. It'd be versus every other like country's All-Stars. Because America probably does have a majority of the ball play. You know what I'm saying? Compared to other countries.
But here's why I disagree with it. I mean, for a second, I thought about it. I was like, okay, that's nice. But then I kept thinking about it. And I was like, no, I don't think that's going to work. So here's my reason why. Is because the WBC is supposed to represent that already.
So funny. Smoltzy, I know you're getting into that, but Smoltzy followed that up with, it'll never happen because of the WBC.
Right.
So there you go. Yeah.
So that's going to kind of kick the purpose of the WBC out of it. It's like everybody waits 3 years anticipating for it. And then if we just see it every year, it's just like, eh.
Right. Yeah, and that's what he said. That's why he said it wouldn't work. But he was just making a suggestion that he thought that if they did have something like that, it would be more beneficial to the players and to the fan base in that format compared to the one they have now.
I think they have I think it's more like a marketing issue, the way they deliver it to you, because the game itself, like the All-Star game itself, it was just not it. And there's they just need to restructure the whole game and how they market it. So, for example, I haven't dig into it, but I don't know why they play the All-Star game on a Tuesday night instead of a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, so that's a good question.
So that's one of the things. I haven't dig into it, so I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if there's some kind of like
Well,
network conflict
there's
or
it's probably a many. It's probably a few things. It's probably the fact, if I had to take a guess, one, that the draft's going on that week, and then two is they start playing again on Friday. So you don't want to stretch it out because you do want to give those guys a little bit of a break. You know what I
right.
mean?
But if you
So
go,
they front loaded on Monday, Tuesday, then at least they'll have Wednesday, Thursday off, and then they can go back playing back Friday.
but if you structure Friday, do it because I haven't dig into it, which I
You're
probably
saying
should. But I'm not
start.
sure. I'm not
You
sure
could
why they.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'm not sure why they put the draft on the weekend when I think the draft should either be way before, which I know it's not gonna happen because of the College World Series. So then it should be way after because if you think about it, NFL draft is after the season.
Yeah.
NBA draft is after the season. So why
Yeah.
does the MLB has to make the draft right before the All Star game on a weekend when they can be hosting the All Star game, get more viewers that are not, that are not going to sleep early because they got to go to work the next day or taking time off.
Yeah. I don't
And I
know
think
because they're
that's one of
weirdos.
right, and I think that's one of the reasons that um, the NFL is probably drawing a bunch of viewers on Super Bowl because it's every Sunday. Everybody gets ready. Everybody gets ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. A lot left to be desired for sure.
and, and they have to also just like I said, change the way they deliver the game because as a viewer, it hasn't been as fun to
Well,
watch it where it
let me
used to
ask you
be.
this: instead of a game, would you rather them do something like the NFL and do like mini games, like skill shit, like skill task, like they do in the Pro Bowl? Instead of playing a game, like you'd bring all the all stars in and the outfielders, like you'd make them throw one from the wall and left. You know what I'm saying? And
Like test them out on
and
like
have
accuracy and all that.
yeah, like and have like a bullseye down there, just like the Pro Bowl, just like the quarterbacks. They back up and they do like the whole throwing pass and running and stuff. But would you rather them do something like that
You know,
than a game?
no,
No, you don't think that would be
no,
interesting?
no. Now I noticed that in Korea they do like a bunt all-star thing going on, like a
I've
bunt
seen that.
derby. Yeah,
I've seen that.
that's pretty interesting.
I don't know,
But
man. I'd like
to
to see
me,
them play the mini games. I think
to
it'd be
be
cool.
to me, it's just because I feel like it wouldn't be so like a good example, right? Perhaps if you put somebody, I'm trying to think of a good. Okay, so Corbin Carroll, he's having a great, awesome season,
Okay.
possibly top 5 MVP candidate, right? But if you make him throw from the outfield, he's not gonna be the guy. He's not gonna because he doesn't have an arm. He's not known for having an arm. You see what I'm saying? But he can hit. He can
Hey
run.
man. Hey man. Well, you gotta. If you want to be all star, you have the complete package. Ain't my fault, man. Can't throw. Had this
Right.
MLB
But
looking
then,
like Mario Party out there. You're right, Zach. It would be boring, but I think it would be a cool addition. Maybe do like the derby, like those type of skill based things, and then do the game or whatever next day.
right. So they should have a better way of going about it. I don't know what it is, but they just need to look into it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can tell you what's wrong with the derby is that it's just. I mean, we've talked about it. It's the whole
That's
time
another
thing.
story.
Yeah, the whole time thing is ridiculous. I mean, I was watching some highlights of like back in the day when like Sosa and all of them were in
Dude.
it, man, and they were,
Oh my god.
they were hitting those things like 550 feet, pimping them, and the
Dude,
announcers just like talking up every homer and shit. It
dude,
was great.
every home run this Sammy Sosa hit everybody stop and watch, even him stop and watch,
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
awesome. Man, I'm sure everybody watching it also stop and watch.
That's what I'm saying. And you had the announcer. You had the announcer. I mean, like really, like pumping them up.
Yeah,
Like
because it was like
crack,
back,
that
back,
one's
back,
way
back, back,
back.
back.
Yeah, yeah. That one's gonna fly into the parking lot. Wow, and everyone's getting hyped. I mean, it was great. And now it's, them some
That's
bitches.
that's
They
another
swing
thing too.
around and put the shoulder right back on or the bat right back on their shoulder, waiting for the next pitch.
So this is what they're missing, right? They're missing great announcers, kind of like those type of announcers, because
Yeah,
I think that plays a key role into the game because that's who we're listening to.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that plays a big part of it. I think also the whole time thing, they need to get rid of that because
yeah, yeah,
my issue was like I'm trying to every time he swings and he hits the ball, if I'm looking at the ball, by the time I look back to him, he already took like 3 swings.
yeah. I know, I
So
know.
it's like you trying to keep up with
Cameraman
like
can't. Yeah,
right, even the
cameraman
cameraman.
can't keep up. Yeah, they're getting confused and shit. Yeah, it's a complete. They need to go back to 10-out formats, and I think you could earn extra outs back then.
Yeah,
Like if you hit like a money ball or whatever, you get an extra
which
out.
they do the same. If you hit 2 home runs over 240 feet, you get an
Yeah,
extra minute. Do the same thing. If you hit 2 baseball over 440 feet, given 2 or 3 extra outs.
yeah,
Simple.
yeah, yeah. And I think they
Because
should juice the balls. I mean, it's a home run derby,
right, people are
right?
there
To see
to go
homers.
there and right and catch the balls. That's it. So juice them up,
Yeah,
bring back the outs, get a great announcer,
yeah.
and
And the announcer for people at home, the announcer is key. You're 100% right. If you're sitting there watching the home run derby, the announcer's like, "Oh, he just hit that one. It's out of the ballpark. Home run number 3. Oh,
I don't
here's
think
another one." That would be so boring. You need a guy with some excitement and
right.
passion, really, really like talking it up.
Yeah,
Like,
that's really pumped up to be there.
wow, yeah. You need a guy to snort a line of cocaine and get in the booth. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Anyways, yeah. And the game, I don't even watch. I don't. It's all right. But I don't know. I'm with you. I need something. They need to do something to get me back into it. As big as a
Right.
baseball fan as I am, you would think I would watch it. But
Listen,
I didn't watch anything this year.
they're losing their touch. But so they have the lowest MLB rating ever this year as far as the All-Star game. I know last year they had the lowest one before this year,
Yeah.
but they were also the highest one amongst um across all major sports in
Yeah.
their consideration All-Star game. So they had a higher viewership than the NBA All-Star. Not by much, but it was still higher. And
Yeah. Well, you ever watch the NBA All-Star game? It's
no,
ridiculous.
I used to watch it.
Nobody
Not
plays
anymore.
It's all they're doing is out there dunking and shooting threes, and like nobody's like contesting them. It's straight garbage. See, basketball is one where they need like I think like a skills assessment type thing. Where you
Yeah,
actually do good in basketball.
yeah. Which I think they did because that one of the whole point of a 3-point shoot and the dunk was basically for that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they do that, but I mean, you might could set up. So I don't know. Like I said, I'd rather just watch my Braves play. That's a team full of all stars. I see it. I watch an all-star game
You're,
every time I tune in.
you're not lying. You're not lying.
So, speaking of them, well, as y'all know, we went over the all-star stuff. It's just as bad as ever, and they really left a lot to be desired. And we hope they pick it up and maybe try to do something in the years to come. That or either they just need to stop it. They need to give them a week intermission and just not do anything.
I don't think they should not do anything. I think they should market it better. And like I said,
Yeah. Well, I'm with
change
you.
it.
if they don't, what I was saying is like if they don't do nothing, if they just stay on the same trajectory, just don't even have it.
Eventually, it's gonna get to a
Yeah.
point where the owners are gonna sit with the commissioner and say, "Hey, what's going on here?"
Yeah.
You know,
So
which, by the way, he's doing a terrible job.
yeah,
He has been since day one.
get him
I
out.
think I
You
think
know
he's
it.
slow. I think he's slowly killing baseball. Slowly.
Yeah. I lost faith in him when he didn't do nothing to the Astros.
I lost it even before then.
Well, that's what put the nail in the coffin for me. I can't believe he's still up there. I don't know who's in charge of firing him. I guess the team owners. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But they need to definitely, dude. That guy, garbage.
100%.
Anyways, so let's move on to our next topic. It's going to be the second half of the season and kind of what we're expecting. Losing Magic, obviously the Rays are kind of fallen off. They fell off a little bit. That was before All-Star break. I was worried about my Braves, but they came out hacking. They came out bottom of the first. Matt Olson hit a grandy. For anyone that don't know, he hits fourth, which means everybody 1 through 3 got on, and then he, slammed one out. It's just, I don't know, man. Those dudes are so lethal. I was really worried they were going to lose their magic because, when you're playing hot like that and you're in a rhythm, if you take a week off, you might – it's crazy to say, but you might just lose it a little bit,
They're the only team with right over 60 wins out of everybody. The only team.
They're thumping all of baseball. I mean, if they keep it up, it's going to be hard to beat. I don't think anybody right now, I don't think there's anybody that can beat them in a 5 or 7 game series. They might can get them in a 3, but I don't think there's anyone that can beat them in a 5 or 7.
How many games do you think the Braves are going to end up with by the end of the season?
They're on track for like 108.
Ooh, that's an MLB record? No, it's not an MLB record.
It's a Braves record.
Yeah, a Braves record. I think, what's that MLB record? 116 set by the Mariners?
Probably,
back in 01 or something like that?
It's a lot of games.
Yeah, that's a lot of games.
Yeah, I don't know how much they'll end up with. I don't think they'll end up with 108. They got to run into some problems. But you got to remember that we don't even have Fried or Kyle Wright. And half of our bullpen on the back end is going too.
I believe Free's about to come back here anytime soon.
Yeah, he's rehabbing. I think he's off the IL and rehabbing.
Yeah,
but they're not. They don't even have their ace, man, and they're thumping teams. I mean,
but here's the thing. So they don't have. I don't think they have any hole. If they do have any holes, who do you think they're gonna go get during the trade deadline?
Holes. They if we could get one more starting arm, one more in the rotation would be good, or bullpen. I don't think we need anybody in the field. Our weakest point is probably like Eddie Rosario. But if he heats up, you better watch out for him too, dude. That dude, he can flip it on and really, really do some damage. But that's the only holes I think is pitching. And the only reason I say that is because there's some injury. Like Mentor went on the IL today, the 15-day injured list. So they have, pitching is what they could sure up. Now they're good, but if they want to like sure up for a playoff run, that's look to bullpen and another starting arm. That's what they'll be hunting, I think.
Which I think you're right about that. I just don't know who they're gonna go get, who they're gonna go after, and who they're gonna be willing to give up.
Marcus Stroman, bro, you put Stroman on the whew. That's the problem though. Atlanta has no one to give up. So Atlanta, they're like the Orioles, right? They built a really good farm system over the years, and now they have depleted it to win. Now, you're seeing the results of all that farm system paying off. And they've got all those guys in long-term contracts. So the way they look at it, as long as they can stay healthy, then there's really they're in good shape because like Acuna's into like almost 2030, Riley's into 2032, Olsen's into 2029, Albies is into like 2026. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They got guys in there that are there. They don't need them right this second. So
Right.
Look for them to start building the farm system back up.
And which I think one of those guys that they might be willing to trade Vaughn Grisham. He might be one of those guys that's gonna get dealt. If anybody will.
Yeah, Vaughn will get dealt because he can't field. I mean, is plain and simple, man. I mean, he's got Ron, and other teams will look at this too, but he's got probably the best infield coach in the league on that staff, and Ron Washington. He's been around forever, highly spoken of, and the dude still can't field. And Washington, Ron over the break went one-on-one with him multiple times, and he's still. Yeah, what's up?
So here's my question: is he just can't field infield, or like in general, can he just move out to the outfield?
He can't play shortstop. I mean, he can play second because when we had him last year,
let's take him out of the infield. Can he play outfield?
He probably could. He's athletic enough. He's fast enough. He's athletic enough. I'm sure he could if he was, if he practiced.
See, and that's one of the things. I know the Braves don't need any more outfielder because their outfielder, they're good. They don't need any more outfielder. So they can trade it to a team where they're going to put him in outfield.
Yeah, well, he can play second though. The reason he got called up last year was because of Albies going out. Albies broke his hand. Ozzie did, so he was out, and he played second.
Right, but the thing is, the second is already taken, so he's not going to knock Albies out of there. So
no, but I'm saying they can trade him as a second baseman though.
Right, they could.
Yeah,
depending on the other team needs.
Correct. He didn't do bad at second. He just can't play short. He's not. I don't know if it's just like the reach is too big, or if he can't handle the velocity of the balls at short, but he can't play shortstop. So that's where it's at. So Atlanta's not losing their magic, but who do you think might lose their magic and kind of fall off?
So you're talking about the teams. Okay, so you mean the teams that are kind of in it, but they're gonna lose it?
Yeah, like who's falling off? Tampa's falling off. Arizona's falling off a little bit. The Dodgers lead the West now.
I actually think the Dodgers are gonna fall off. I really do. Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because, listen, they make the playoff probably the last 8-9 seasons or so far.
10, they're trying to make it 11. So
11.
I watched the game last night with them. They're on.
They're right here, going right here. Just hitting the down cliff, going down. So right this year, I don't think this year is going to be their year because they hit with a bunch of injuries.
Right.
They lost their pitcher rotation. It has a bunch of injuries. I think Kershaw got scratched. Did he pitch an All-Star game? I don't remember if he pitched or not. But I know Dustin May. So. Dustin May is out.
They get Bueller back in September though.
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, if you're 70 and 90, that's not gonna do anything good. Gotcha. So it's not gonna put you in the playoff contention. So Walker Buehler, Dustin May is out. Julio Urias has been struggling lately, although he has had the last 2 games. He just got back. Right, and his last 2 games has been pretty good so far. So
that's the one he pitched last night. I watched it.
Yeah, I think he threw out
1 hit over 7 innings or 6.
Yeah, he was dealing last night.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. Now
He was also playing an uninspired Mets team though. So I mean, really, dude, 1 hit. I mean, come on, with the players they have.
yeah, the Mets have been on inspire all season long.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But
We'll
yeah,
see.
so
I could see him falling off.
and
I'm thinking the Rays fall off. They're on their way to falling off, but I think Baltimore might come out with the East.
ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Now you think the Yankees are gonna make a comeback?
They're last in the East, bro. Ain't no way.
Right, but if you look at the rest of the team, they're not really. I mean, they're 8.5 games back from first place, but they're 49 and 43, so they're still what 6 game over 500. Now Boston is 49 and 43. The Blue Jays are 51 and 41, so they're not. I mean, they're not that far off. They can still make a comeback. That's what I'm saying.
They could, but I don't see it.
They just got Carlos Rodon back. I know Ernesto Cortez has been struggling this year. I honestly figured that was I figured that was gonna be like a 1 season off. You know how some players are good for like 1 season and then they're just kind of like
I know exactly what you mean.
no pun intended to him. You know that's just what it seems like.
Yeah. Shit. Sorry. I just don't think. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. They might come back because they're the Yankees, depending on what moves they make at the deadline. But yeah, I think Tampa will lose some of its magic, but I don't think they're going to drop quite crazy and just start losing a bunch of games. I think Baltimore is going to keep winning games. The Yankees could do it, but it's an uphill climb for sure.
Do you think the Cardinals can come out of the hole that they're in?
They're sellers. Cardinals are sellers. The Mets are sellers. Yeah.
Ooh, okay, that's interesting. Who do you think they're gonna sell? I know the
I don't know who they'll sell, but
the Cardinal has some good prospects though.
Yeah, but did you tell me that the Cardinals were going to be sellers? They were going to sell everybody but like Goldie and Arenado.
Yeah, they're from what there's rumors, but apparently they're willing to sell, but they're not gonna be selling Arenado, Goldschmidt, Walker, Newbar. Who else? That's kind of like their main core players.
Yeah, I got you.
And I know their main struggle this season is the pitching. Wainwright, it's I hear people say he should have been retired last year when he had a good season. Just call it quits.
Should have. So, yeah, we'll see. I do think that the Cardinals sell. I think the Cubs sell. The Mets sell.
You think the Cubs are going to sell?
Yeah. Yeah. Where are they at? They're in the Central, right?
Yeah, they're in third place, 7 games back.
Mm-hmm. Who's ahead of Milwaukee? Milwaukee and Cincinnati?
Yep.
They ain't got no shot. They got to win that division.
Yeah, they do.
They ain't getting in an All-Star. A team to look out for if Miami, I'm telling you, if Sandy will start pitching like he should, like he did last year, if they add an arm or something, or they add what they needed to break, watch out. I'm telling you, people don't sleep on Miami, man.
No, and their main thing is pitching, man. They have won a lot. Well, they got a lot of pitching behind their back, so they can anytime they can go to the minor league and just grab any pitcher they want.
Yeah, if they make those ads and Sandy can start pitching, like like 2 ERA, if he can start pitching like he did last year, like a Cy Young winner.
Yeah,
they're tough. I mean, they're winning a lot, man. I mean, that's not. the problem with the East and the NL East is like, is that Atlanta's winning. Atlanta's, I mean, that last month they went like they only lost like 2 or 3 games all month.
Yeah,
so you had like Philly went like 14 they won 14 out of 16 and only got like 1 game back. I mean, what can you do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it'd be hard to catch them. But anyways, that one of the wild card teams is coming out of the East. It'll either be Miami or Philly. I don't know which one it'll be. Well, or Atlanta if Atlanta loses grip, but
they won't.
If they do, and like Miami passes them, or you say that, but you remember last year, right?
Yeah.
An All-Star break, we were 10 games back, and we come back and sweat the Mets at home. Second to last series of the year, we swept them and beat them.
I think
all we had to do was go to Miami and take 1, and then we did that.
I think. Oh, that's a good question, man. So far they're in it. If anybody, it might be. Yeah, Cincinnati can come back. I think Cincinnati has a good chance to making it, knocking them out. Yeah. So Cincinnati, they're in it right now. Them and Milwaukee. But then you got the Giants. In the wild card, you got the Marlins, the Diamondbacks, and the Giants.
So that's what I'm telling you. There's only 1 team coming out of the Central this year.
Yeah.
So if they have any shot to make it, they are going to – who are we talking about? The Cubs. The Cubs they got to win. I don't think they'll do it. I don't think they can do it. Not with Milwaukee and not with certainly not Cincinnati. Once they get Lodolo back and all like their pitchers.
Yeah.
If they playing like they're playing, I don't see Chicago being able to do that.
And if anything, listen, I think Cincinnati have the hitters, and they're proving it right now.
Yeah.
So that's not an issue.
Plenty of offense.
And their pitching, they got some decent pitching. They got Hunter Greene, who's hurt right now, and like you said, right,
who's hurt as well.
And I know they got Ashton Craftman. Is it Ashcraft?
Yeah. So they have a lot of good pitching. They got a lot of good pitching. They get it back healthy, and like you said, they got plenty of offense to beat everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not underplay it. I mean, their offense is potent as anybody's, but like you said, they don't really have any pitching. So, they run into a team like Atlanta, and Atlanta can put up just as many runs as they can, or the Dodgers against their pitching can put up just as many runs as they can.
So see, I think they might be a team. Yeah. So I think they might be a team that could go for like a Stroman if he's dealt, because they have the prospect to give out, and
Well, yeah. Well, at this point, who's not going to go for Stroman? I mean, I feel like if every team that's buying and making for a run, if you don't call the Cubs for Marcus Stroman, you probably need to hang it up and not be a part of the front office. I mean, you at least got to make the call. I mean, the dude is pitching lights out. There's animosity there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, here's my question. Should Stroman go ahead and sign with the team that gets him? If
they offer him. I mean, it all depends on what Stroman wants to do. Obviously every team is going to try to especially because is this Stroman's last year?
Yeah, he'll be a free agent.
It's just like Atlanta did with Matt Olson. Every team will probably sign him and immediately try to re-sign him to a deal. They'll trade for him and then try to immediately sign for a deal on him. If they don't, and that may be part of the thing, that might be part of the trade, is they may vet like Stroman before they make a trade and be like, hey, would you sign here if we got you?
That's possibly true, yeah.
But, I mean, you think about like Murphy and Olson and all them, they traded for them. They came here and immediately re-signed them. But that's typically how it would go. Yeah, you're not trading just for 1 year. I think with someone like him, Soto's different because he had some years on his contract, right?
Right. He's going to be free again after 2024.
Yeah, so they traded him, and San Diego was going to get 2 or 3 years out of him anyways.
Which I think if anybody's going to make in my opinion, if a team is going to make any trade, that's the way to make a trade where a player has at least one more year left that he can provide for that team.
Yeah. Well, but I think it's pretty uncommon for them not to sign him.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of players want to avoid free agency. So I don't think the situation that you're talking about happens often. So I don't think that they do happen, but I don't think it's fair. I think players go and they sign with whoever gets them. You know what I mean? Especially if it's a winning. Okay, if the Dodgers picked you up, why wouldn't you sign? Why wouldn't you sign with the Dodgers? They're going to be top tier and in the talk every year.
I think it depends on the. It all depends on the player. Does he feel comfortable there? Does he like it? Does he not? And where he's at his career. So Stroman's 32. I think at this point he just wants to get a contract and long enough for him to be able to retire right afterwards.
Right.
So
I agree
he's
with
32.
you.
He's probably looking for a 5 to 6 year deal. That's gonna push him to his late 30s, possibly 40s. That he's gonna hang it up right after.
Yeah, and in that case, why wouldn't they? I don't think, like I said, I don't think it happens very often where you trade away a couple prospects and you only got the guy for 25% of the season.
No,
I think that once if they deal him, whatever team he will go to, they'll try to sign him as soon as he gets there.
Yeah,
and and like you said, in his case, he's older, he's having a breakout year. He might not have another year like this, so his value's high. So he'll probably sign now.
Take
advantage of it, sign now, and he's locked in. Because 32-year-old Stroman probably don't want to go through free agency.
Right. Because now you got to prove this team, or you got to go through. He's been a free agent, so he knows what it's like to.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't take into account the market. So it's like what happened with Dansby, right? Dansby couldn't pick and choose really where he wanted to go because he hit the market with Turner, Correa, and who else? Bogarts, right?
Yeah, Bogarts.
He hit the market when there was 4 or 5 superstar shortstops out there. So now it maybe lessens the value for someone it lessens the value because there's plenty of options. Whereas if someone needs a good shortstop and Dansby's the only superstar on the list, he can pretty much write his ticket to anywhere that needs a shortstop.
Yeah.
But now, so that's the other thing. That's the other fold to free agency. If Stroman goes to free agency, then you get a lot of all-star pitching that hits it when he hits it. Now he's a little devalued, And
he has competition in the all-star. Not all-star, free agency, my bad. So he has a lot of competition in free agency. So so I'm gonna give you just a few, a couple of sample of players that are hitting the free agency. So one of them is gonna be Shohei Ohtani, obviously.
Okay.
Then you got Aaron Nola. Then you have Julio Urias. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was saying. Do you think Stroman wants to go to free agency with those guys? Because he's going to be at their ages and what they're doing right now. He's going to be last pick.
Yeah.
It'd be like going to the court and playing a pickup game, and the old man's the last one to get picked. You don't want to be the last one picked. So if he can get traded, and if he can get traded at this and sign into a decent deal, I think he'll do it. I don't think he cares where it's at.
That is true. There's more than that. Johnny Cueto, Sonny Gray.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them going into free agency.
Yeah.
So
he definitely has some competition out there.
Yeah. Ohtani to the Yankees, who knows?
Nah, I don't think it's worth it. He's not going to sign with the Yankees.
That would be typical. I would have said, if anyone asked me where Ohtani was going, 2 teams. Take a guess.
The Angels.
No. If he left Los Angeles,
So
I would say
from
there would be 2 teams that would get him.
the Mariners, or
No,
possibly one of them.
they are, but no,
You
they
don't
don't
think
have.
so?
Mm-mm.
You think the Dodgers are gonna get him?
Dodgers to the Yankees. That's who I would say.
Really?
Just because they have the bankroll. Think about it in the last recent years. The Dodgers and the Yankees, they've got the biggest. They always get the biggest name.
But would
They always get the biggest name at free agency every year, either the Dodgers or the Yankees.
But see, I think Otani's different though, because
Okay?
all
His
the
agent,
all the
his agent's
You're
not.
right, but at the end of the day, he chooses where he wants to go, regardless of what the agent says. He's the one that
but
has the
you know
final
how
say.
that
So,
is. They have a lot of influence on them.
but see, I think so with Otani, I don't think he's money driven like a lot of players are. I don't see that. I don't see that now. I could be wrong. And when the Yankees or the Dodgers put $500 million on his table, he's gonna say yeah. But that's just me. I think he's gonna go where he feels more well
I don't
liked,
know.
more comfortable.
Maybe. I think he's
But-
going to go get what he wants. I think. Go ahead.
What if the Angels trade him, get 2 top 10 prospects, 2 MLB ready prospects, bring him back up, those prospects, right? Like ready to play next year, and then boom, they bring Otani right back into the Angels with Mike Trout, and then they have a super team, and then just run for the World Series. I don't think they're really that far off. That's just me and my conspiracy theories.
The Angels aren't. I mean, they got the 2 best players in baseball. How can they not be? You know what I'm saying? I mean, they got Trout and Otani. I mean, they should be winning. They're in the West over there. They should be winning the West every year.
They're 6-game behind the wild card, so they're not. I mean, they're on a 6-game losing streak. But
Listen, let me be honest with you. I'm not sure he's going to leave. People forget that Otani is there playing with the best ever do it.
yeah,
And if you don't think Trout has influence, I'm not saying that Trout has like influence, but there's just something about playing alongside the best to ever do it. And you got to see it from his perspective. He was raised in a whole different country,
right.
different culture, not where it's like the same difference. Like we talk about with the World Baseball Classic, why Americans don't play. They're like, that's an expedition game. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
We have the World Series. I ain't playing the World Baseball Classic. On the flip of that, other countries are like, it's like their Olympics. It's like because they take pride and
right. Because it's like we're in.
Right, and him coming from Japan, being there playing with Trout, and playing with the best. Trout probably is the best to ever do it. I don't care what anybody says. You can argue stats day in, day out.
He has been the face of baseball for the last 10 years.
Yeah, but I think he's better than the old timers. Not every era is made equally.
Yeah.
But I mean, Trout has played in the hitting aspect. He has played, in my opinion, in the hardest era of baseball. Because all these other guys, like you talk about, like Tony Gwynn and these other guys, they just weren't consistently facing 100-mile-an-hour, high 90s.
No,
every at bat, and that's what he's doing now. And they haven't backed the mound up, and he's just been crushing.
Yep.
And you put him in their era when the average fastball was 92.
Hey,
it'd be like slow pitch to batting practice, man.
What do you think his stats be if he was playing let's say during the 1960s, during the 50s?
And I don't even know if I trust those stats. We start talking about we start talking about like Babe Ruth and stuff.
So here's my question: at what point in time do you think the stats get lost? Like it's like somewhat of irrelevant. Where I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter, but it's just like
I would say anything. I take it. I take a lot of probably like the 70s or 80s. Anything before that, because basically, people forget too was like baseball regulated back then. Like, did you just go to Yankee Stadium and use whatever balls? You know what I'm saying? Did if you went and played in Yankee Stadium, you had hopped up balls?
I would say
No one. MLB back then wasn't like it is today. Now there's like
no, it's not.
processes, but probably in Yankee Stadium, those guys or Yankees in the 30s and 40s, that like Depression era, they probably showed up and just played whatever balls they had, and they were probably hard as hell. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And these
Yeah.
guys were hitting them. They were hitting them 500 feet, but if they hit today's ball, it'd be like a long fly. It wouldn't even, it'd be a fly out to center field.
Now,
I mean, seriously though, you got to think about things like that when you start comparing eras and people. You got to,
in their
it's got to be like a
defense,
standard baseball.
in their defense, they did have some of the biggest baseball stadium back in the days, though. That's in their defense.
Some of them.
But to your point, I do think that for me it will be 70s and below, because I think the 80s they were probably one of the greatest MLB decade.
Yeah, probably.
If not, I believe that was MLB's pick as far as everything. I think the 80s were it. And it began during the late 80s, mid to late 80s. That's when the steroid era kind of began.
Yeah.
So the 80s had a lot of stuff going on in baseball, which is
I'm just talking about the stats. I don't know how good of stats they kept. Now baseball's super complicated with like stats and the way they score things.
It used to be simple stats. Now it's everything.
Yeah, but even like like I don't know. Think about it. If you get a hit and they make an error, it's actually not a hit. You just reach by error, but you get struck down like you didn't get a hit. So were they counting in the same way, or like how? You know what I'm saying? Like now, MLB probably employs people to grade them at the same, like a standard,
which they do. I think they take the old stats and they plug it into a number, and then they base it off the new stat based on the old stat.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So basically, the old stats are like a reference to the new stats. If I'm not sure if you understand.
No, I'm just saying. Like, all right, if it's like the 30s, do they really have someone keeping up with the game that like is like standard, like that knows the standard and every game's being kept up with the same way, or did they hire Ralph out of the upper deck to come and keep stats?
That's a good question.
You know what I'm saying? So now it's not that way. That's what I'm saying. Now, to make everything equal, I'm sure the MLB or the organizations have to hire somebody, and I'm sure the MLB puts out like a standard for how you score a game and all that shit. But back then, it was probably just Joe Blow. Hey, I'll pay you $10 if you score the game. All right, here's how you do it. You know what I'm saying? And people ruin hits that are really errors, or you know what I'm saying, shit like that.
Yeah, and today with people with technology, they also is a lot easier to keep track of everything at the same time.
So I don't know. It's just a different era. That's why I think people will say like you look up like who's the home run king or something, or who's this, and it'll be like some guy from the 20s. I'm like, it's got to be 80s or 90s and up.
So you mean to tell me that the Cy Young Award needs to be changed?
What you mean?
That's one of MLB's. That record will never be broken.
Yeah, Cy Young's?
Yeah.
No, I mean it doesn't. But I mean, how close is any? All right, how close has anybody ever gotten to breaking it? Like remotely
Ooh.
close, or is he just in a whole league on his own and no one will ever touch it again?
No one will ever, 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 ever touch it. Ever.
That in itself is
Ever.
not that. That in itself don't make you say, I wonder why. No
So
one
the
will even.
reason,
We're sitting here saying that no one in history, no one after him, and no one like in the future will ever touch his record. So
right?
you're talking about one human being over hundreds of
Well,
years will never be able to do what he did.
yes. So here's
That
my
doesn't
reason
sound
why.
fishy, just a little bit fishy.
But
I'm
here's
just
the reason
saying,
why.
bro.
Right. But here's the reason why. It's the same thing with some of the other records. So one of the other records that you think about that everybody knows about is like the home run record. Who's gonna be the next Barry Bonds? You know, I'm the way.
Yeah, Barry Bonds was fucking roided up though. That's my.
All right,
I'm just saying. You know,
right, but
you
okay,
take
let's
that
go.
one. We know he's roided up.
But let's okay, so let's take that
They're
out
never
and
gonna catch him because no one else can roid.
let's go back and let's take Hank Aaron. All right, then we'll say Hank Aaron. Who's gonna touch Hank Aaron? The closest one to it was Pujols when he hit 700 last year. But then who's the next closest one? There's really not that many players. I think in today's era, I'm not sure there's one single player that has even 400. I know there's a few that has over 300. Trout being one of them, which I think he might hit 400 next year. But that's kind of so. Cy Young has 500 wins, over 500 wins, game wins. No pitcher is ever gonna hit that because in today's era, they don't play the game that they used to play back in the days. Because in the day they used to play back-to-back games, and the same pitcher used to pitch back-to-back.
Well, let
Same
me
pitcher
ask
used
you
to throw.
this: back in the day, did they count a win after 5 innings, or did they count a win if he started the game and they won?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's what I'm
That's a
saying. That's
good
what I'm
question.
trying to. That was my whole point earlier about the way they kept stats. Now, if you don't pitch 5 full innings, you can't even qualify for a win.
Right, which I
So
think.
back in the day, how can you they could have had just the old drunk over there keeping. That's a win. That's a win. He started pitching and they won the game. You know what I'm saying? But now,
So
if you pitch 5, right, and you give up the lead,
you're done.
so if you pitch up, all right, so if you pitch 6 innings and you're losing,
Yeah.
and they bring in relief, and
Yep.
we get the lead with the relief, and they charge the win to the relief.
Yep.
Do you think when did Cy Young play?
Back
You don't
in
have to
late
tell me. Yeah.
back in late 1800s to early 1900s.
So in 1800, do you think that calling the game and keeping stats were really that complicated, or do you think they just Cy Young started and Cy Young win it? Because for the longest time before I got into win-loss record, I thought if you started the game,
you finished
and y'all won, you got the win. Like this is like 10 years ago before I really got into like the art of the stat. I thought the starting pitcher would get the win no matter what, as long as that team won.
No, I think it all changed during because if you think about our leap, well, we're in 2023 now, so it's been a long time now that I think about it. But it doesn't seem to be that long that reliever kind of became a thing in baseball, and that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was during the 70s that relievers became a thing. Anything before that, if a pitcher started the game, a pitcher is going to finish the game.
Right. So we can agree that Cy Young probably got many more win opportunities.
Yes, than anybody else.
Present day, and that's one of the reasons why.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I think that if he can't even be comparable, then to your question, it's like apples to oranges. If that'll never happen again, then Like, he did what he did for sure, but we shouldn't be like, Cy Young was the best ever. Well, like, no one else ever has gotten the same opportunity as Cy Young to be the best.
All right. So what
He was the
about?
best of that era. You know what I'm saying?
So there's a lot of records that are similar to them, to those.
Yep.
Some of them are older, some of them are not. So another good example of another one, it will be. I think Ricky Henderson record might be broken, but it's not going to be easy to be break. Not anytime soon, at least.
With the stolen bases
Yes, I think he has like 1,500. That's
over
insane.
the career, that'll get broken.
Yeah.
And the only reason I say that, and here you go. Here's what I'm talking about. Someone will break his record, but the bases are pizza boxes now. Do you think that should matter? Seriously, it's not the same, right? If Ruiz with Oakland, I mean, the dude's on a pace. If he keeps, how old is he? 21?
Pizza boxes.
They are. That's how big they are. But anyways, if Ruiz continues on the pace he is, he's going to steal fucking 80 bases this year probably.
Yeah, for sure.
And if he steals 80 bases for the next 15 years, and all he's ever stole bases is when they were the size of a pizza box, is that fair to Henderson?
That's a good question.
You see what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
That's what you're saying.
You just, and that's just this era. Now think about what they were doing back in the 1800s. It's completely different.
But if you think about it, the game evolved. So the game has been evolving every decade, it seems like.
Yeah.
At least I noticed. Because you can tell baseball was different 10 years ago. You can tell baseball was different from 2010, 2011, 2013 than it was in the 2000s. You can tell the difference from it. So,
yeah.
That's kind of one of those things.
Yeah. I agree. Well, I think we covered everything that we wanted to today. We covered the All-Star break and how garbage it is. We covered teams that we thought they're gonna maybe play up, some that's gonna play down, and talked a little bit about the trade deadline. Do you have anything you want to add, Chris?
No, just
yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah. All right, and we'll see where we're gonna go from here. We'll be on next Friday, and again, like I said, sorry my equipment broke, so I hope the quality's okay. Next week it'll be fixed though. We'll have that fixed. Before we shoot out of here, remember to like and share Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We do the podcast every Friday. However, we are doing shorts and we're doing some YouTube videos. And one of our YouTube videos is doing pretty good. So we're pretty happy about that. And we're going to keep them pumping. And maybe that'll drive traffic to us on the live shows. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and just want to add on to that. If anybody have any suggestions about any videos or anything that you want to see or that you're wondering about, just let us know and we'll try to make it happen.
For sure. You can hit us up on our email or comment on a video or whatever, what ideas you would want to see. We're still rocking under the old email, grandslamshow@gmail.com, even though we've rebranded into In the Booth Media, which we're happy about. But we're also working on logos and stuff, so it's a process, but we'll get there. So, all right, well, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll see y'all.
That's all, folks.
All right.